I want to talk about something kind of important. It's like this, and this is the question I want to ask you. Do you know who you're called to be in Christ? Do you know how many Christians really don't know who they're called? They go, well, I'm a son, but it's not within the fiber of their being yet. It's not, they're not, they don't know how to walk that out fully. And I want to help you do that, believe it or not. Isn't that crazy? I really do. Here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to just show you Paul. Now, chapter 15 of 1 Corinthians is a very interesting chapter because Paul starts talking about the gospel, okay? And then, Paul's probably facing, in Corinthians, he's facing some attacks on his apostleship. And he goes into this. He said, verse 8, 1 Corinthians 15:8 says this. Then last of all, he was seen by me also, and by one born out of due time. For I am the least of the apostles, who am not worthy to be called an apostle because I persecute the church. Look, I'm not worthy to be an apostle. I was horrible. Okay? He says this, though. He says, because I persecute the church of God, but by the grace of God, I am what I am. That's a good Popeye moment. I am what I am. This is what I want to tell you. By the grace of God, and only by the grace of God, you can fulfill your calling, your identity, and your purpose. Now, here's what I want to tell you what the grace is not. It's not passive. It is a labor of love with God. And here's kind of the favor. We think of favor of like God's mercy, undeserved mercy, but it's really the undeserved favor of God. So here's how it works. Paul, I've called you to be an apostle. Paul's like, God, I'm just glad to be saved. I can't even believe you saved me. I'm completely unworthy of that. Paul, but I called you. And my favor, my grace, my enabling power is going to be upon you, so that you could walk out and walk into your purpose and destiny. When you don't think you have the strength, pray, look to me, lean in me. I will be with you. And we will co-labor your walk together. And we're going to work this out. Favor isn't just God's kindness. Favor is God's infinite supply on your life to fulfill what he called you to do. And most people don't know this. I try to explain this to people. It's kind of hard for them to understand this, but I considered myself a really good air traffic controller. But I only did it by the grace of God. People ask me, I just was asked in the airport yesterday. Someone asked me, says, is that a stressful job? I said, I think it's like any other job. I think there's people who are highly stressed and I said, it didn't stress me out. I said, but for me, it was also the grace of God in my life. And I knew when my season was coming in there, I couldn't stay in my own strength. I knew I had to leave. This is hard to explain to people. That I knew the grace, the empowerment to keep going that way. I could have stayed there another 8 years, retired. Here's the problem. I would have been doing it in my own strength if I disobeyed the Lord. Couldn't do that, right? That's bad. I don't know if you agree with that. That's bad. So I didn't do that. Okay? You are who you're called to be by the grace of God. When God called you to be, from when he called me to be an air traffic controller, the grace from heaven was in the voice of the Lord to produce in me and enable me if I surrendered and co-labored. Did I study to be an air traffic controller? I studied day and night in academies and schools. I worked hard. I learned my job well. I listened to the people who trained me. I had some very, very good people who trained me. One of them, Tom Struby. Shout out to you, my friend. You were just excellent trainer. I loved training with Tom. It was just a fun time. I had some very wonderful supervisors, Robin and Sally. To me, they were some of my favorite supervisors. Roberta up in Iceland, one of my first supervisors. I had very good people trained, but here's the thing. Their training would have been in vain if I was unwilling. And my efforts would have been in vain without the grace of God. Lest the Lord build a house, those who labor, labor in vain. It doesn't mean don't build a house. It just means you're supposed to co-labor when you're building the house. This is my house. When I'm building it, I do it with the Lord. Otherwise, it's just in vain. Know what you're called to be. Know whose you are. And then allow the grace of God to co-labor with you and fulfill what you're called to do.